Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is going to be a combined edition, so we're going to combine them all together for a while, give it a few month run test and see how that works. We are going to be doing privacy, then AI overlords, and then business. And then we will wrap up with some lovely, lovely SillyVille. These are recorded live Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to catch all of the chatter going on in between the news topics, of course, if you're not into that part, then you can go ahead and just watch these edited down versions if you don't like the commentary. I understand some people love to read the comments. Some people really don't. We make it available in both of those options. Of course, if you would like to watch the full version with all the comments in there after it is out there, you can find that on the website switchedtolinux.com. Those do get unlisted, at least on YouTube. They get unlisted after the edited videos go up, although you might still find them on the alt text sites. I'm pretty sure they do appear over there before they get unlisted. With that, though, let's go ahead and dive right on into the news. We are starting in on privacy. First up, an encryption exodus looms over UK's online safety bill. Not a whole lot more going on here. I think this is just bumping this news topic to the top, keeping it in everybody's consciousness, and letting people know that if this bill actually passes in the UK, it is going to have serious downstream repercussions involved in our technology, our communications, and the services and things we use. And it still needs to raise a lot of questions. Of course, we've been talking about this for a few weeks now, almost going back 2 or 3 months almost, although not every single episode. Last week, we did bring it up in the context that there is an activist group that's trying to say you cannot pass this in its current form. It doesn't spy enough, literally. People want actual backdoors and built in there that even researchers can access and stuff like that. And this is woefully dangerous. And so I'm really concerned. But of course, Signal has said they're going to pull out. I think WhatsApp said they're going to pull out. Apple has not made the declarative statement, but if the other companies do, they'll probably pull out. We're actually seeing this. This is going to be a theme of the news this week, because not only are we seeing this, a lot of tech companies are threatening to pull out of UK. A lot of tech companies are threatening to pull out of Canada now because of the CB18. It's 18, I think. I think it's the CB18 bill that passed. So on the Matrix server, of course, last Friday night after the news, I posted a video. One of my favorite van lifers said he's looking at careers outside of YouTube, because being a Canadian YouTuber, he's afraid that CB18 is actually going to seriously limit his channel's spread. Although I'm not sure that's really the case, and he is admittedly not a tech-savvy guy. I'm not sure how much impact it would have on a huge channel that's already established, but I would say it's going to seriously impact the discoverability of a new channel coming up behind him. But that being said, in this bill, this one talks about Signal. It talks a little bit about Apple's C-scam options, and how Apple, which attempted to introduce a similar feature in iMessage before reversing its decision on Tuesday, became the latest tech giant to speak against the proposed legislation. So they've not said they're going to pull out, but they did say that they do want this in. Now, the problem is the UK government is calling for end-to-end holes to be poked in all forms of end-to-end encryption, which means if I want to use our Matrix server, anybody in the UK on our Matrix server, if we have an end-to-end encrypted room, will not be able to function in UK if this bill passes. And that is a serious concern. And so with that, I mean, it raises a lot of these questions. So what is to do about it? I don't know, because we're really starting to see this weird tech fragmentation in the world right now. And it's really interesting to see what is going to happen down the road. Our next story, Meta is making it easier to manage your kids' Instagram and Messenger addictions. Great. So now we know our children are addicted to some technological device, and we're like, all right, we're going to figure out how to manage it. We're going to make sure Johnny only drinks 1 hard liquor tonight, not like binges on 17. Excuse me? Helping parents keep tabs on their teens' online interactions. And I see this failing. Let's go ahead and talk about it, and then I'll tell you why I think this is going to fail. Of course, first and foremost, if you're letting your kids have unfettered access to this kind of stuff, you really need to reevaluate your parenting methods. I did see this really amazing meme. If anybody watches Education, he had a really fascinating meme. He is a meme show, but he has this really fascinating meme last week. It's like kids in the 80s. And I remember this. I mean, I was a kid in the 80s. Kids in the 80s. Parents are like, how long have you been watching? How long have you been playing that video game? I mean, 2 hours. Turn that thing off. Get outside. Just go ruin your eyes. Blah blah blah. And kids today, I'm bored. Here, stick your face in this screen for as long as you want because I can't stand looking at. Meanwhile, the father is over here doing this. And that's really indicative of our culture and indicative of our time. But yeah, absolutely. Parents, now the idea here is to roll out extra tools. So, if your kids are synced to your account and you can see how much time they're on, you can see the number of messages, you can see the people they're interacting with, you can see and approve their contact list. So if you only want them to be able to, communicate with like grandma or something, that's fine. That's an option. But if you want them, if they want to reconnect all their friends from school, you actually have to get in there and approve it. These are decent things. So the intention that they're making is very decent in terms of giving parents a little bit more control over the devices. So for that, okay, we can understand it. Now I'm going to tell you the article doesn't cover anything. I'm going to tell you why this will not work. I only created a Facebook account when I did because I was mentoring teenagers at that time. Actually, I think they were preteens at that time. Of course, they were on Facebook as preteens, which already is a violation of the rule. Because, believe it or not, kids do things that their parents don't often know. And the kids oftentimes have accounts that their parents don't often know about. And I at least was in a privileged position to know a lot more about what this kid was doing than his parent did. So I created a Facebook account just to keep tabs of the things he was doing. And so that really is an important thing. And for a while, while his mother was a little nutsoid, he let me have the password to it. We had a conversation about how difficult this was, and he understood at any point in time I might log in to the account and I might see what he's doing and I could see his messages and things like that. And he understood that and he was okay with that until he was like 14 or something. And then he just kind of decided that he wanted to be his own man. And so, all right, whatever. I'm not your parent, actually. It's kind of your parents' job to keep track. The point is that kids are going to do a whole lot of things their parents don't understand. I would say that the number of kids who have accounts that their parents have direct control over in this format is going to be extraordinarily low. And on top of that, if parents were actually involved enough in their kids' lives to monitor this kind of stuff, they wouldn't actually allow their kids on this stuff at all. So it is a tip of the hat to a good idea, but I don't think that this is actually going to solve anything. But anyway, they are trying to make your children's social media alcoholism a worse thing. And I have this fly that is buzzing around my screen. It's driving me nuts. Hey, go bother that cat over there who eats your kind, please. All right, moving on. This one made me chuckle here. Someone is sending mysterious smartwatches to the U.S. military personnel. And then some U.S. military personnel have turned these things on, and then lo and behold, it compromised everything, and they auto-logged into every Wi-Fi network and phone that found it, collected a bunch of data, and submitted stuff up. It just begs a few questions. Number one, this is really cool, interesting application of a watch, and it makes me not want to be anywhere in the vicinity of smartwatches, because if somebody can simply program a smartwatch to be able to log into any phone within its vicinity and start doing stuff, I might want to have a rule that you're not allowed to wear one of these stupid smartwatches around me. Okay, number two, what type of morons are like, oh, somebody sent me a watch. I wasn't anticipating a watch. Let me just take it out and put it on and turn it on and see what happens. Really? Are our military personnel really this stupid? I cannot believe our military personnel would be this stupid. Except under the current regime, I can completely understand. They're like, we can't figure out what's going on with our military enrollments are so low. Yeah, you keep on pushing a bunch of nonsense through your military. We're over there pushing ads saying how many military member are confused about what's between their legs. And over there in like China and Russia and all those other guys, they're sitting there doing military stuff that makes us go, oh, I kind of want to join their military, and it kind of tells you exactly where we're going to be in a few years. That's for sure. But this was a fascinating article. So U.S. Army's Criminal Investigation Division reported that service members across the military received smartwatches unsolicited in the mail. And like morons, they turned them on. Upon using these smartwatches, devices automatically connected to Wi-Fi and began connecting to cell phones unprompted, gaining access to huge quantities of user data. Okay, this is kind of like, don't ever pick up a USB drive from off the ground and plug it into your computer. Okay, it very well is going to be a plant. It might blow your system up. It might just contain malware. It might just be somebody's naughty pictures. Hey, what is the temptation worth it? You know. But that's what they're doing. Military Investigation Division also reported the smartwatches may contain malware that could be used to spy on soldiers and steal their sensitive data. I think every smartwatch is malware that can spy on you and steal your sensitive data, but that's my opinion. These smartwatches may also contain malware that would grant sender access to saved data to include banking information, contacts, account information, such as usernames and passwords, read the alert. Malware may be present when accesses both voice and camera, enabling actors to access the conversations and accounts tied to the smartwatches. So it begs this question, okay, some random person sends you a smartwatch out of the blue, and people are just opening these guys up going, oh, cool, a free smartwatch. Let's plug it in. Now, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is some interception. Maybe people are like, hey, we're trying to send this to you. But if you remember, though, smartwatches in many military bases were blacklisted. You're not allowed to have them because they provide way too much data about what the military is doing on Google's servers. And yes, I'm talking about Fitbit and Google. If you're unaware, Google owns Fitbit. And in fact, as of this year, all of your accounts have to go through those. So that is certainly something to keep in mind. Next article, this is kind of our featured here today. Mozilla wants Pocket users to switch to Firefox accounts, which may not be a bad thing, as TechRadar reports, although I think it is a bad thing. The move could be a good one they're promoting. It's all great. Let's integrate all of this data about our regular internet usage into a Mozilla account. So, of course, Mozilla puts up a big privacy front, but it's anything but a privacy company, okay? So for years, Pocket has been able to get away with not having, Pocket users have been able to get away with not having a Mozilla Firefox account, despite the service being on the browser. So if you're not familiar with Pocket, it is this thing that Firefox hoists upon you on every new install. That's like, we're going to give you articles and you can save them here, and then we will curate articles for you based on what you want. Yeah, in other words, it's the same basic thing that Google's doing with, interest-based ads. They follow you around the internet. Now, Pocket is probably slightly better than that, of course, but I wouldn't say so much better. It was for a long time a separate stand away, but Mozilla ended up buying them a few years back. And as of next month, starting in just 11 days from now, starting on July 11th, 2023, all Pocket users will be prompted to create a Mozilla Firefox account. So if you're like, I just don't want anything to do with a Firefox account, yeah, if you're using Pocket, you have no choice now. You're going to have to create your Firefox account. And of course, now that you have a Firefox account, you have to be logged into the Firefox account for this. What is now to prevent Firefox from grabbing and harvesting and storing all of the data about your browser? Because that's exactly the thing that they've wanted you to do. Okay, Google, for a while, if you remember, the Linux guys discovered this bug. It wasn't a bug, it was a feature until it caused backlash for Google. They quietly rolled something out in the Chromium base that if you logged into any Google service from a Chromium-based browser, it automatically logged the browser into the Google account. If your browser is logged into the Google account, they can store infinite amounts of more data on you than they can if you're using the browser without a login. Of course, this is why Microsoft switched to their own Chromium base. Of course, they pulled that kind of stuff out, and they tied all that stuff to the Microsoft account. So now you can log into your Edge browser with the Microsoft account and basically do the same thing. Well, Firefox has the capability, and I hear the people that say, oh, this allows me to just easily sync my stuff from this to this to this to this to this. Dude, why do you need to? Seriously, why do you need to? Because the more convenient you make things, the more open you are to hacks. All right, so even if Firefox is the best, most privacy-focused company, still having your data out there, it's susceptible to bad employees, it's susceptible to hackers, it's susceptible to any other the weird things, data harvesting and whatever else. And if you think I'm kidding here, there's some fascinating gems in Mozilla's privacy policy. We're just going to look at a few of these. Now, of course, they have a lot of different privacy policies. This one's the general one. What do we mean by personal information? So IP addresses, things that can tie in. And then how do we learn information? You give it to us. We collect it automatically through our products and services. When your Firefox browser checks to see if it has an update, for example, someone tells us information about you. When Thunderbird works with your email providers to set up your account. So apparently if you're using Thunderbird, they're going to log that data, I guess. Interesting. And when we try to understand more about you based on information you've given to us, i.e. when we use your IP address to customize language for some of our services. What do we do with your information? When you give us the information, we will use it in ways which you have given us permission. Generally, we will use your information to help us provide and improve our products and services for you. That is the same corporate speak they use to say, we're going to use it for whatever we want. When do we share it? Look at this. When do we share it? When we have asked and received your permission to share it. Interesting. For processing or providing products or services to you, only entities receiving your information are contractually obligated to handle it, okay, as approved. When we are fulfilling our missions of being open. This is an interesting one. We're going to use your private information to fulfill our mission of being open. I have no earthly idea what the hell they mean by that. That's a link. I followed that link. I read the whole page, and I stared at it like a cow looking at a new gate. I have no earthly idea what the hell they're trying to say. We sometimes release information, make our products better, and foster an open web. But when we do so, we remove your personal identifiable information and try to disclose in a way that minimizes the risk of you being re-identified. Thank you. Thank you for sharing my information in a way that can be reassembled. When the law requires it, here's another reason. Make sure your VPN companies are not storing logs because, they busted into Malvad. Was it Malvads, I think, recently? They said, yeah, we got nothing for you. See, look, nothing on the server. But the fact that they have it, if law enforcement busts in and they have it, they are now obligated to give that data over. Whereas if you're like a Malvad that doesn't actually store any data, they bust in and you say, we don't got any data. So why is Firefox keeping this data? It's opening us up to being abused by the government through your policies. When we believe it's necessary to prevent harm to you or someone else. Michigan just passed a law that if you hurt somebody's feelings, they can charge you with a felony. Guys in Michigan, be careful. So when Firefox believes, because they've actually gone a little woke, when they believe it's necessary to prevent harm to you or someone else, i.e. a Michigan citizen, we might very well share that information with Michigan law members because it's going to make the community safe, because how dare you actually hurt somebody's feelings on the internet? And let's see, if our organizational structure and status has changed, if we undergo restructuring, are acquired, or go bankrupt, we may pass your information to our successor or affiliate. So if Google comes down and says, hey, we'd like to buy that kind of stuff, yeah, we're just going to pass your personal information to Google. You see why I don't want a Mozilla account? Okay, I don't necessarily mind using the browser so much because it is a good, fast browser. We can audit all the code. You can do a lot of changes with it. It's not a horrible browser, but I am not going to in any way, shape, or form create a Mozilla account. Hell no. That's the privacy policy of a privacy respecting company. somehow I missed the privacy respecting part of that privacy policy. Of course, here's their big header. So now this is specifically the privacy policy of the Firefox browser. At Mozilla, we believe that privacy is fundamental to a healthy internet. Okay, so by default, it shares data to interact with data, for technical data. It shares data for search options. It shares data to recommend relevant content, location data. Firefox uses your IP address to suggest relevant content based on your country and state for technical interactions, for pocket recommendations. When you click on a sponsored top site in the new tab, we share your country or region, the tile you clicked, and the time with Ad Marketplace, a third-party referral program, to verify you navigated to the website. Great. Improve security for users everywhere, especially those in Michigan. Crash reports. Measuring and supporting our market. See, this is not a privacy policy. This is the same type of corporate stuff you get everywhere else. So I'm a little bit concerned about this. I'm concerned about the proliferation of Firefox accounts. I mean, don't create a Mozilla account. If you got one, shame on you. Delete it. Please. Tell them no. All right. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do use affiliates. Today we're highlighting Pro Writing Aid, tlm.li/PWA for Pro Writing Aid. This is going to give you 20% off of your premium, either the yearly or the lifetime payment. They do have a free option. If you like to check it out for free, you can use their online web app, paste content in there, and see what it can do. It does a really good job. And then, of course, there's the premium and the lifetime payment options as well. I usually use the web apps. They have extensions for LibreOffice on Windows, but not on Linux yet, very sadly. But when I'm using it, I actually just use the web-based interface. It works for me. So Pro Writing Aid, tlm.li/PWA, and that'll get you 20% off to a premium yearly or a premium lifetime. Of course, I think you can do monthly billing as well. So it looks like you don't get the discount on monthly billing. You will get the discount on yearly billing and also on lifetime billing. So that's how you can help support the channel. And with that, we are going to dive right on into our AI Overlords news. So Windows 11 AI-powered Copilot and its Bing-powered ads enter public preview. Yes, they are actually launching this right now in the public beta with ads. Like, hey, Copilot, adjust the settings to be more private. Sure, after you watch this ad. Oh, God. The internet is officially over, guys. The internet is officially over. Level 1 Tech's news from today, they were commenting on that a little bit. It was quite funny when they're like, you know, the sweet spot of the internet was when everything wasn't ad driven. And that's kind of the overarching theme of what's going on here and why we're going to see the death of the internet. Of course, that's our last article in the AI section, so stay tuned for that. But the ChatGPT Copilot is now inside of Windows 11 for those that are on the public beta. So this is like their Windows Insider program where you can get the latest things before it goes out to everybody. And it's in here to do all sorts of basically in toggle settings and do a few little small administrative things on voice command. And it is, of course, embedded with ads. So you're going to start seeing some ad stuff dropping up and down there as well. So I know that's quite exciting for everybody, but there you have it. Sounds great. Chatbots could soon be teaching in elementary schools a lot sooner than expected. Great. That's just all what we need. We need if my child's education on the tablet is any semblance of demonstrating how insane technology in the classroom actually is. Now we have to deal with chatbots to teach it. In a way, this could be pretty good. We actually did a video on the channel not too long ago on the Anki software, which is like flashcard software. I've actually been using it to write some flashcards for the Greek I've been studying and things. And, you know, utilizing AI, like that doesn't have true AI, but it has some algorithms in there to push words up. And having used it now for several months, what I'm actually doing to make sure I'm always getting enough words to review and stuff is I'm building my vocabulary sets in 100-word sets. So I might have a couple on there, and then it says, okay, today I need to show you 30 words from set A and 10 words from set B. Okay, great. So it does a really good job, and I'm noticing that it is keeping my vocabulary up with the algorithms it's doing. And with artificial intelligence, it can get better at the algorithms to teach basic things like vocabulary. Or I was watching a Greek teacher today speaking, and he said, you know, in America, we've and I recognize this myself. You know, we don't really teach grammar anymore. We'll teach a little bit of phonics stuff, but we don't really teach grammar anymore. And so with that, it's interesting to see where the AI could take us. Does AI suggest, hey, maybe you need to teach grammar again? I don't know. We'll kind of see. But ultimately, though, I really am not interested in any of these AI networks actually teaching the kids, especially since, Facebook comes out, Mark Zuckerberg will not let his children on Facebook, and Bill Gates is pushing education in the classroom, but he will not let his kids go into a classroom with technology. It's kind of telling. I do not want my children in a classroom learning from ChatGPT or other chatbots. That's me personally. Because we also know the other thing that we do know about these chatbots is they tend to make stuff up if there seems to be a hole in the recognized or desired knowledge. And we don't want that to fill in our kids' brains to say, well, we need to have a result here and we don't have one. So we're just going to make something up to make it fit. And then we have all sorts of fun things that our kids do just because the chatbot said so. It's kind of like that joke, the old lady, newlywed woman, she's sitting there at Christmas and her grandma's there and her great grandma's there, and she's cutting off the ends of her ham, putting it in there. And the husband says to her, why don't you just put the whole ham in the pan? It'll fit fine in there. And, throw it in the oven. She's, well, this is what my mother did. So he asks his mother, why do you cut the ends off the ham? He goes, well, that's what my mother always did. And so grandma's sitting there at the table and says, Grandma, why did you cut off the ends off the ham? He goes, silly, my pan was too small. That's the way that these types of things pass through, that makes something up or otherwise does something that makes sense to it in the moment for its task of teaching, whether or not it's true. And then that gets put inside of the zeitgeist of society. And that is a problematic thing. So I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. Oh boy, AI-powered personalized medicine. It could revolutionize healthcare. No. It could spell doom for society. I might go that far. Artificial intelligence can't replace human professionals, but it could transform the way they treat diseases such as cancer and save lives. Milia Van Zender, whatever that person is, director of Cambridge Center for AI and Medicine at University of Cambridge. So basically, this is, they're looking at it over in UK right now. So of course, nothing's going to be encrypted, so that's great. So AI is already using this, and they're doing tests to figure out, in some cases, can AI treat disease better? That's true. One of the ethical components that they mentioned down here in this article is looking at the responsibilities. If AI gets it wrong, who is at fault? Is the AI at fault? Is the company behind the AI at fault? Is the hospital at fault? Is the doctor at fault who's overseeing the AI? There's a lot of questions about the ethics and the morality. What if AI starts saying, hey, the AI starts feeding into the old eugenics societies, and it starts doing calculations about whether this person should even receive treatments at all? That's a distinct possibility if we hand these over. And we know when we hand these types of things over, it's going to turn out into a case where people say, well, the AI has said this, so we're going to do that. And the way human nature works, if somebody gives us an answer, if we're not the type to do an immediate pushback, we just adopt it. About 20% of people push back and about 80% of the people don't. And the question is, which one is your doctor? Because if your doctor is just doing what the AI says, you're pretty much doomed. If the doctor's going to push back a little bit, why even use it? Of course, give you a few more ideas. That's one thing or another. There was one other thing that was in here is they're looking at the idea of AI looking at holistically at the person rather than simple things like what's your gender and what's your age and what's your BMI and type things. Of course, we know that all of those things are complete fabrications of society at this point in time. But that being said, what happens when the AI spits something out? This paragraph here specifically, using AI-powered personalized medicine could allow for more effective treatment of common conditions such as heart disease and cancer, or rare diseases such as cystic fibrosis. It could allow clinicians to optimize the timing and dosage of medicine for individual patients, or screen patients using their individual health profiles rather than the current blanket criteria of age and sex. The personalized approach could lead to earlier diagnoses, prevention, and better treatment, saving lives or making better use of resources. I'm going to say, though, like most other things, it's going to be corrupted by money making. As I look at some of the things in medicine, we look at and we question: is this about healthy living, or is this about making money for the medical community? Because the reality is, a dead person is not profitable and a healthy person is not profitable in medicine, but a sick person is. We have to have that in the back of our mind as we consider what is the ultimate purpose of these AIs and how much can it actually keep us healthy, or is it looking to diagnose us? You see, we have this thing in the medical world today, where the medical world today tends to want to say, what is the problem? Let me look for a diagnosis. This is why, 100 years ago, very few, quote unquote mental illnesses, but right now, the way you splice it and slice it, literally everybody could be called as having a mental illness. Is that really true or not? And that's a question worth asking, and it begs that question for AI. And our final article here, and why I suggest that the death of the internet is here, because AI is starting to overtake everything to the point where our whole internet right now is being filled up with junk garbage for the entire purpose of selling advertisements. This is kind of where we started this section, and now it seems appropriate that we end it right here as well, because the whole idea is that the internet itself, if the internet is about passing information, or is it about making the money? If it's about making the money, all you need to do is just game it and throw up a bunch of spammy articles and throw ads all over the page. And that's what some researchers have found. Junk websites filled with AI-generated text are pulling in money from programmatic ads. More than 140 brands are advertising on low-quality content farm sites, and the problem is growing fast. People are using AI chatbots to fill junk websites with AI-generated text that attracts paying advertisers, according to a new report from media research organization NewsGuard that was shared exclusively with MIT Tech Reviews. Over 140 major brands are paying for ads that end up on unreliable AI-written sites, likely without their knowledge. 90% of the ads from major brands found on these AI-generated sites were served by Google, though the company's own policies prohibit sites from placing Google-served ads on pages that include spammy automatic-generated content. The practice threatens to hasten the arrival of the glitchy, spammy internet that is overrun by AI-generated content, as well as wasting massive amounts of ad money. Most companies that advertise online automatically bid on spots to run those ads through a specific practice called programmatic advertising. Algorithms place the ads on various websites according to complex calculations that optimize the number of eyeballs an ad might attract from the company's target audience. As a result, big brands end up paying for ad placements on websites that they may have never heard of before, with little human oversight. And that is a big problem. I've run Google ad campaigns for clients before, and we were paying. I think we were paying several $100s a month on ads, and very little results, because most of our ads are just ending up on junk websites that they're just not being served, or they're not being served to any sites. But what's happening now is, let's see, this one here. Generative AI offers a new way to automate content farm process and spin up more junk websites with less effort, resulting in what NewsGuard calls unreliable artificial intelligence-generated news websites. One site flagged by NewsGuard produced more than 1,200 articles a day. Somewhere in here, it was funny that, that's one I've done here. This is good. NewsGuard has a clever way to identify the AI websites. Many of them are also created without human oversight, so they're often riddled with error messages typical of generative AI. For example, one site called CountyLocalNews.com had messages like, "Sorry, I cannot fulfill this prompt as it goes against my ethical and moral principles. As an AI language model, it's my responsibility to provide factual and trustworthy information." How would you like to be paying hundreds of dollars in ads to have it land on that website? That's a problem. That's why I stripped all the ads from my sites. I'm not doing it. I'm stripping Google Ads or Google Analytics from all my sites, all that kind of stuff. I'm self-hosting my analytics. We will be having a follow-up video on that. I enabled the MaxMind GeoIP so I can identify the cities that are probing my sites as well. I'm moving complete independence from Google on the website end of things. Obviously, we're on YouTube because this is where the reach is, but we're also on all the alternative sites as well. So you can find us over there if you have an objection to that. And you very well might have an objection to that when we get to the end of the business section. All right, so of course, all these sites are just making money off of the junk, and it's basically producing an internet that is so clouded with garbage and junk as to become completely useless. All right, with that, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TOMM. You can jump on over there to help support the channel. That'll keep the lights on over here. It'll support all the different channels that we have. And from here, I believe we are moving on into business news. First up in business news, the White House announces billions in broadband funding to pay their CEOs more. Oh, I'm sorry. It's supposed to be funding the connection of the nation. The problem we have with this is that we've already had two massive spending bills. I think the first one was 96, and there was another one after that, mid-2000s. Both of these earmarked millions of dollars for the ISPs to expand broadband internet into the rural areas of the country, and they turned around and gave the money to their CEOs as a bonus. So if the White House announces, if the White House really thinks that throwing billions of dollars at the ISPs is actually going to get good internet in the rural areas, he is stupider than we all think he is, and that's saying a lot. All right, so all Americans should have solid internet connection, the White House believes. Yeah, the White House believed that in 1996, and I do forget when the second bill came through, but this is the third bill giving the ISPs millions, if not billions of dollars to put internet into rural areas, and they haven't done it yet. All they managed to accomplish is giving them that. I think what the government should do is turn this around and say, hey, your CEO gets no more bonuses, and we're going to start taxing you billions of dollars to take back the money we already gave you if you do not use your current resources and expand into the rural areas. That's what they should be doing. But no, we got to make it sound good, and people are like, oh, internet still sucks. Oh, let's go ahead and be billions, because they forgot 1996, and they forgot the second year, because I forgot the second year, of course. Can't even tell you which one it was. But they are giving more money to that. All Americans will get high-speed broadband by 2030. Yeah, we were all supposed to have high-speed broadband by like 25. The broadband equity access. Oh, of course. Knowing the Biden administration, I didn't read this bill, but knowing the Biden administration and calling it the broadband equity access, they're going to wire it explicitly to certain people's houses based on the melanin levels expressed in their skin. You know, it's going to have this increase. The higher your melanin, the faster you're going to get internet in your house, I guess. Because that's the way every one of his bills seem to be going right now. Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, called the BEAD program, as the country's existing program, is designed to help Americans stay connected. Currently, 19 million of the country's citizens are enrolled in a program with $14.2 billion to see eligible households receive up to $30 per month. Great. $30, so you'll actually get it'll only cost you $200 to get Comcast instead of $230. Great, awesome, good to know. We'll see what happens. Be looking for those ISP company CEOs to have new yachts next year, but we still won't have internet in rural areas, trust me. Not until Musk brings Starlink. Google to end news access in Canada after bill to pay news publishers passes. This is the C18. I mistakenly called it CB18 earlier. It's called C18. And this will basically force anybody promoting, like pushing links to news sites, to actually have to pay. So you actually have to pay the news site to have a link to have people click the site to go to your news link. Well, that sounds like idiocy. Now, I understand what they're kind of talking about. Depending on how the website's configured, my RSS feed reader can show some or most of the article without actually going to the site. So my RSS feed reader would probably violate this law because I'm not actually clicking the link over there. I'm just pulling it from an RSS feed. But hey, the news site has the ability to not publish an RSS link, in which case I can't do that. So the problem is, though, is that Google and all these big tech companies that curate the news or things like that, any links to news, they're saying, no, we're losing money in this, so we want Google to pay us for every time. Google's like, you know what? We try to work with you, so you know what we're going to do? Great thing. We're just not going to link any articles to you anymore. And being as that nobody goes directly to the news channels, very few people, I'll say, go directly to the news channels. Most people just type in they'll type in like, woke news to the search bar in their website because they don't even know what wokenews.com is. So they don't even know what or how to do that. And so they just type it into the search bar, don't know the difference between that and navigating directly to the site. And then they'll wake up one day as soon as the law goes into effect, and Google's not going to show them wokenews.com. And so it's like, what in the world's going on here? This is sheer idiocracy. Sheer idiocracy, because they're like, we want money when Google links people to our site. Google's like, no. I have to agree with Google on this one. And now, how long before all these companies are going to see these massive drops in people coming in? They're looking at their analytics and going, where's all our people? Because you realize like 80% of what comes to my website, when I check my analytics a few days ago, 80% of what comes to my site is organic, coming from, unfortunately, Google. Okay. Organic search means they're searching for something. They click on an article and land on my website from a search engine. Google is going to stop listing all these news sites. You're going to see all the news sites die off, and then they're going to be like, nobody's coming anymore, and then they're going to lay off their whole staff, and they're going to become like National Geographic very soon. By the way, National Geographic closing down. They've laid off the rest of their writers. So, that's what is up in C18. Google just says, no, we're out. All right, we're not going to link any news articles on our site. We'll just link the blog posts. We might actually see a resurgence of commonplace blogs talking about news articles in Canada. That might actually happen. There is an opportunity here for you bloggers who are not officially journalists. Because I'm not sure you're affected by this, but if you're a Canadian who understands this a lot better, please let me know. I'm very curious. Of course, we do have to talk about why blocking ads is good for your digital health. This is from Malwarebytes. And this is something we know. Obviously, first and foremost, the constant bombardment, the pushing of consumerism, I think is bad. It's enough for us to say, okay, I make a certain amount of money, I have a certain amount of needs, and I have a certain amount of wants. And as long as we have enough money to meet our needs and have a little extra money to meet some of our wants, we're going to seek out the things that we want. Because that's just human nature. I mean, I got back here and I'm like, let me play around with a drone a little bit. I get back here and I buy a little drone, play around with it a little bit and said, you know what? I don't want to mess with all the nonsense around drones and all this kind of stuff and where you can fly and where you can't. And there's new bills kind of like licensing up. So I actually turned around after a few months of playing with it. We turned around and sold the drone for almost the same amount I bought it for, which is pretty nice. But with that being said, the thing is I sought it out because my needs were met. I had the extra income and I wanted to play around with it. We don't need to be constantly pushed everything in front of our face constantly. Now, if we're just talking about a few banner ads or a few sidebar ads, I am perfectly okay with that. And I'm like, great, you might actually enlighten me to something I didn't know existed. The problem is the current level of internet has a few major problems. The first is constant in your face, massive ads, full screens, blocking everything out, all in your face, all over the place, flashing video, consuming bandwidth, and or their malicious malvertising campaigns are pointing you to sites that are absolutely malware. And so it's good to run it because it calms down that consumerism but it also calms down on the malware and the things. And so the reality is how many different viruses you can get just by allowing ads on the websites is shocking. So adverts are biggest business with billions of ad impressions per month. Individual companies can rack up billions of impressions just for their own ads before you try and figure out the overall tallies. Disney and Amazon paid 40 billion impressions between them in first quarter of 2020. Google pretty much powered advertising. Google is an attention merchant that in 2022 generated $224 billion, almost 80% of revenue from ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, and network sites. If you want some kind of scale idea of the scale of advertising you're subjected to a daily basis, they're only moving up. Recently studied by Lunio claims that on average people might have seen between 500 and 1,000 ads a day in 1970s. By 2007, when adware vendors dropping ads spewing installers was common, and ad affiliate networks and meltdown was a daily occurrence, it was estimated by 5,000. By 2021, average 60 to 10,000 per day. Of course, you have them on your phones. Here's, of course, that was the old privacy policy for that TV that was free. You just have to do it. Then we have some of the common types of advertising: pay-per-click, affiliate marketing. Of course, we use affiliate marketing here, which I find the least intrusive. And then there's mobile ads as well. The other concern here is these are the malware stuff. So this is literally the ad served by Google. This is a served by Google advertiser identity verified by Google. The advertiser is Ivan C. Lucas, who has no affiliation with Amazon. And when you click on the ad, it takes you to Amazon.org/sign-in. With this is a phishing website. This is a Google-sponsored, verified by Google ad pushing you to a malicious Amazon sign-in hosted on WordPress. Look at that. The favicon up here tells us it's hosted on WordPress.com. So Amazon.org is over on WordPress, and you should be ashamed of yourself for not spotting that that's malware. But as long as you're paying your bills, who cares, right? So what can we do about it? Of course, being very vigilant, not clicking on the ads unless you absolutely are 100% sure what it is. I think going into it by default, assume ads are malware unless you have evidence to the contrary. So yes, we need to be having ad blockers. Of course, YouTube doesn't care. We did talk about this a few months ago when they were first discussing it. Now apparently they're increasing the rollout. If you're looking for that death of YouTube, this very well might be it, which is very sad because I think this might actually push way too many people way too far. And I think that this might very well be the death blow to the nail of YouTube's coffin. YouTube test run of 3 strikes you're out policy seems like a bit much. YouTube thinks it's baseball now. So in May of 2023, that was just about a month and a half ago, it was reported that Google had been testing an anti-Adblock experiment for YouTube, one that involved a pop-up stating ad blockers are no longer allowed on the website. Following that, you are prevented from using the site unless you disable the ad blocker or subscribe to YouTube Premium. Now, the tech giant is reportedly becoming more aggressive in its war against ad blockers with a new 3-strike system. Reddit user RedditInMe first spotted this pop-up, which includes 3 numbered boxes along with a message: video player will be blocked after 3 videos. It's then followed by an explanation for the pop-up, as well as the same buttons from the last pop-up experiment for allow YouTube ads and try YouTube Premium. According to other Redditors, in the comment post, that those who use uBlock Origin have not seen this particular pop-up screen. Of course, it's a pretty narrow list of users being tested right now, so we do not know the full extent of the experiment. So the idea here that YouTube is rolling out, I can't make that picture bigger, unfortunately. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, that's about as big as okay, that's good. That's good size. Video player will be blocked after 3 videos. So it looks like you may be using an ad blocker. By the way, my firewall ad blocking system, which is not an ad blocker, it's just a list of host files, actually will trigger the anti ad blocker system in some websites. So they will allow you to watch 3 videos. After that, you will be locked out of watching YouTube videos unless you either whitelist the ads. So unless you either allow the malware to be spread on your computer or pay YouTube to access the content. So with that being said, I think this is that death blow to YouTube, because if they're going to start doing this type of aggressive stuff, I am sad to say I will not watch videos on YouTube after this, because I am not allowing YouTube to give me 15 minutes of ads before a 5-minute video, and then 3 ad breaks in the 5-minute video, and then 15 minutes of ads after the video. And I'm not even really exaggerating there. YouTube has become unusable without an ad blocker. And I got news for you. I'm not paying for YouTube Premium. It's not happening. Now, does that sound a little hypocritical for a YouTuber to say that? No, not necessarily. It just depends. It depends on finances. It depends on other things. Buying YouTube Premium to me sounds like a subscription service for something I don't want anything to do with. Can I go into that YouTube Premium and say, never, ever, 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 ever show me a damn short thing again? No, of course not, because it wants to push shorts all over the place. To the point I can't go to my settings to disable shorts. I got to click that X every 30 days. How long before that's like every 2 days? Because watch my shorts, watch my shorts. No, I don't want to watch your shorts. I'm not a pervert. I don't want to watch your shorts. Okay? Really? So, this here is going to have some serious ripples in the community if they decide to roll it out further. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Of course, I don't know, maybe they'll back down. I mean, I know they're experimenting with a new layout. The Switch to Linux account was not part of it, but the Arwalk and Christ account did get on their new layout rollout, and it was so abominable. I did the trick you could do to get away from that new layout that they were attempting to test, but I haven't seen it for a long time. So I'm wondering if they've given up on that nonsense. And our last article in business is Rocky Linux is going to keep on fighting. Let's go, man. Let's go. I still got the fight. So, of course, as Red Hat keeps on pushing out articles, I did the video the other day, talking about the Red Hat's whining response. They're crying about the competitors that are sucking up its money because we want to make money. It's like, Red Hat, you've forgotten your mission here. Your mission was to sell a service contract, not the software itself. Okay? And so these guys are for servers and people that are like, we either can't afford or do not need your service contract. We're not just packaging your stuff. We're making our own thing based upon what you're doing, but we're making sure everything's completely compatible. And that's what some people didn't understand. Some people actually think that Rocky Linux and Alma Linux, they're just stealing Red Hat's code and publishing it. No, that's not the case. But they don't understand what's going on. But what they are doing here is this post here is just explaining how they are getting the code now, which is keeping with the all of the terms of service and all the licensing requirements. The first one of these is possible through UBI container images based on Red Hat, available from multiple sources online, including Docker Hub. Using UBI images, it is easily possible to obtain Red Hat sources reliably and unencumbered. They validated this through the OCI, Open Core Initiative containers, and it works exactly as expected. And then the other method will leverage the pay-per-use public cloud instances. With this, anyone can spin up Red Hat image in the cloud and thus obtain the source code for all the packages errata. It's the easiest for them to scale, as we do all this through the CI pipeline, spinning up the cloud images to obtain the sources via DNF, and then post to our GitHub repositories automatically. So basically it's describing what they're going to do, and of course they are still looking at other options. So Rocky Linux is still in the fight. They are not giving up the ghost, and neither should we. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do use affiliates. Today we are highlighting DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean is a good cloud computing platform. You can use it to build up little droplets with either VPNs or servers or just all sorts of other stuff. I did some Nextcloud all-in-one testing on DigitalOcean. It worked great. That allowed me with a single click inside the marketplace to deploy a Nextcloud with the LibreOffice document integration, the talk integrations, all of that stuff all worked perfectly out of the box. The business grade Nextcloud all-in-one system, I did that over there, and there's so many other tools that you can use as well. You get a $200 credit, good for 60 days for new users using the link tlm.li/DOH. With that, thank you for watching, and I almost ended the show there, but no, we need to go to SillyVille. Let's not forget going over to SillyVille, guys. Jeez, I'm losing my touch here. All right, first up for SillyVille, this is not tech related. I just love this so much. We had zero choice except to include it in here. This is a leftist Harvard expert on honesty has apparently been falsifying data on numerous sites. I promise this isn't the Babylon Bee. So Harvard behavioral scientist who studied honesty accused of fabricating data. Great. Undertook studies about honesty is under fire for allegedly fabricating papers that she worked on, according to a report. Harvard's business school, Francisca Genio, allegedly chalked up phony results tied to studies, including one that focused on honest behavior. She's been placed on leave, according to her business web school page, while the Times reported showed she was still on the job as of recently mid-May. She's published 135 articles since 2007, but I think that's a lie. All right, on to our tech-related stuff. So this janitor at another university, this janitor heard an annoying alarm and turned off the freezer. Turning off the freezer ruined 20 years of school research worth $1 million. See, I can understand this. In case you didn't know it, I have a PhD in molecular toxicology. I have worked in these types of labs. And yes, we have actually had freezers that have had this happen, where things going beepy, and we submit the request to get it fixed. But it takes them a few days to get there. They might need a part, something. So you have to deal with a beeping refrigerator for a while. No big deal. You might roll it down the hallway and put it in a closet somewhere that you can still plug it in and access it. You might move it into the back of a classroom that's rarely ever used. Who knows what you do with it? Well, this was a janitor, and he was contracted out from another company, and he's in there trying to clean up in the school, and he got annoyed at the beeping of the refrigerator, and so he decided to turn it off. Now, it's one thing, okay, maybe he had it, except this was the note on the freezer. This freezer is beeping as it is under repair. Do not move or unplug it. No cleaning required in this area. You can press the alarm test mute button for 5 to 10 seconds if you would like to mute the sound. But the janitor heard what he called annoying alarms, according to the suit. In an apparent attempt to be helpful, he flipped the circuit breakers, which provide electricity to the freezer, mistakenly turning them from on to off. According to the lawsuit, it said the freezer's temperature rose to minus 32 degrees Celsius. Next day, research students found the freezer switched off, and despite attempts to preserve the research, the majority of the cultures were compromised, destroyed, and rendered unsalvageable and demolished more than 20 years of research. University is suing not the man himself, but he was suing the janitorial, that like the company that brought the guy in. He was on contract from the company. Now, this is a freezer. You say, oh, minus 32. Yeah, this is a freezer that's supposed to be between 78 and 82. This is not out of the ordinary. We had nitrogen tanks in our lab that went down to the negative 170. It's been a while since I've been in there. So correct me, you scientists in there. I think it's negative 170 for nitrogen. But we had these deep freezers, which are at minus 80, which is what you need to keep cell lines and bacterial lines viable. If you go above that into your common freezing temperatures, like you're like a minus 5, minus 10, you will damage the cells. The cells will degrade over time. You need to keep them in the 78 to 82 mark. So this temperature, this freezer had a few issues with it. They're seeking to repair it. And so they post this giant note, and the janitor's like, oh, we're going to shut off the super beeping alarm, despite the note saying don't do anything like it. So very interesting. Yikes. Well, the phone monitoring app LetMeSpy disclosed a data breach. So there's a phone monitoring app called LetMeSpy that basically let everyone spy. This is an app that you're supposed to put on your kid's phone. It's sold as a parental control or employee monitoring app. Can you imagine this going into the employee? All right, well, part of your job, we have to get your phone, and we're going to install an app on it. It's called LetMeSpy. No. So the LetMeSpy app apparently was leaking out all of its data. Customers can use the app by paying a monthly subscription of $6 or $12, $6 for standard, $12 for pro. As a result of the attack, the criminals gain access to email addresses, telephone numbers, and content of messages collected on the accounts. They said company immediately launched an investigation and notified law enforcement and data protection watchdogs. LetMeSpy lets everyone spy. Well, they did what they're supposed to do. They're letting people spy. This is a fascinating article here because I did not realize it, but I am a regular forest bather, apparently. I mean, I didn't know this was. I went on this hour-long binge to read all about forest walking because it's like, what is this? I mean, or forest bathing. Basically, forest bathing is just the Japanese term for taking a walk in the woods. So, but I nearly every day before I get up, before I do anything else, I'll usually get up in the morning, I'll read for about a half hour to an hour, and then I'll go and I'll walk. And so I'll walk, and where I'm at right here, like I walked all the way around the lake today. So I had a good 4 mile walk today before breakfast. It was great and a nice wooded area, and there's, lakes and all this kind of stuff. I might, of course, if I'm traveling, I'll do this in the desert. I'll do it in the mountain, wherever I'm at. I love to walk. I walk about 5 miles every single day. And so I didn't even know it, but I was a forest bather, which is good because I don't bathe other ways because I'm a van dweller, and we're dirty van dwellers. We don't have a need to shower. What do we do that for? But the question here now is, will this work in virtual reality? This gives me those reminiscent thoughts. Remember when they put VR helmets on cows to see if they can simulate the same environment that the cow would have a free-range cattle and produce better milk based on that? And they found the answer really was no, and the cows apparently got addicted to social media and, virtual reality. But now they're trying to do forest bathing in virtual reality. So now instead of taking a walk in the woods, you take a walk in the virtual woods. I'm just going to go out on a limb as a guy that walks through the woods for a couple hours every day. I'm going to guess the answer is no, because even if it was really amazingly good virtual reality, I'm still probably going to say no. There's too many things that virtual reality can't do. It is the scent. It is the sound. It is the sight. It is being out there without all of the distractions of the world, not being enamored inside of the distraction of the world, trying to pretend that you're not there. So my sneaky suspicion is no, forest bathing in virtual reality is probably not going to work, but there are some people out there trying to give it a test. But hey, at least the good news is I am indeed bathing every day. It's just a forest bath instead. Whatever. And finally, ChatGPT has made its way to Windows 3.1. So if there's any Windows 3.1 users out there, I got news for you. You now can get ChatGPT on Windows 3.1. Now, he did actually port modern TLS and SSL certificates. Does this mean it's safe to be on? I don't know. Of course, I don't even think a hacker would know what to do with Windows 3.1. I think a hacker would get in there and be like, dude, I don't know what the hell to do. Like, what is this nonsense? C prompt? Huh? I imagine that they wouldn't know what to do. The script kiddies would be like, dude, meow, let me out of here. So, but the guy that created Wordle for Windows 3.1 now has WinGPT, which is going to give you ChatGPT on your Windows 3.1. So you guys that are still on Windows 3.1 because you absolutely refuse to upgrade, you now have options for ChatGPT as well. So you can go ahead and find the links for this in the article there that will be linked down below. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a Subscribe Star page, subscribestar.com/switchedtolinux. You can jump on over there and help support the channel. And with that, thank you for watching, and we will see you all next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.